All right, guys, this episode of the Old Boy Podcast, we are talking with Jessie Demler, also known as Slim Brick on social media channels. We talked to him about being a fourth generation Mason, what it's like working for and learning from his father, which has a very successful construction business and bricklaying business. And we also talk about how do we get more kids into the trades. And Jesse has a really, really great idea of how he's going to help that do that in his local Logan, Utah community. I hope you enjoy. Man, do you hear that? Look at here. They're coming. They're coming. We're going to have a party. I'm talking good on barbecue. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Old Boy Podcast, and I am stoked to have Jessie Demler joining me, or as y'all know him on social media, Slim Brick. Jesse, good to have you on, buddy.
What's up, old boy? Good to be here.
Yes, sir. So first off, I want to start with, as everybody knows here on the Old Boy Podcast, we are proudly sponsored and partnered with Trollco. And I know you're one of the guys that's been dirty hands, clean money from a while back, man. Talk to me about,
Yes, sir.
kind of what you think about the brand and why you love repping it.
Dude, I love all those folks. Like, everybody top down's been nothing but nice to me. And it was something that I'd seen, you see the dirty hands, clean money all around. I live in a kind of agricultural blue collar town up here in Logan. And so you see it around, but the ones that had stuck with me was the support blue collar stuff. And so that's what I started repping, was like that hoodie. I would repping that. And then actually, like, that was when I was trying to build my social media, and I got noticed by Trollco, and I was like, hey, hold up. Like, y'all got an ambassador thing, right? And so I filled it out and got in touch with Tron and everybody, and it's been nothing but smooth sailing since then.
Dude, I love it. That's awesome. And you're and obviously you're a man of the trades and generationally. So you're a fourth generation Mason. Talk to me a little bit about those three generations before you, kind of what kind of masonry were they into, and how did it get you to fall in love with it?
Yeah, so grandpa, little great grandpa, came over here after the war, and then they were from Germany, not second war. We're not hiding from anything. But grandpa came over here, and then I think he became a mason when they were building a high school or something like that. But got into it and started doing it, and like his house he built, just up the road here, and he passed before I was born. And then so he did residential and a little bit of commercial, and then my grandpa did the same, was a little bit more residential. Went through, had my dad, my uncle, my aunts. They get into residential, and it just kind of got to that point where, dad was supposed to take over the business, but grandpa's one of those old boys, can't retire. So my dad sees this market of commercial masonry up here that, no one really wants to deal with, because no one wants to do all the rebar, the concrete, or grout fill, all that stuff. And he's like, well, hell, I'll do it, But he takes a side job and starts running his own stuff. That's when he about had me, and now he's been in business for 27 years, I think, 28.
Wow.
Yeah, running commercial up here. He's been featured in like the Fortune 5000, Utah's top 500 growing businesses back 2008, 2009, and yeah, now it's on me to try and get him retired.
Awesome. So you and him work together that same commercial business?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So he's, like I said, grandpa and grandpa had their own businesses. Now my dad's got his own business, and now I'm working. I've been full time for 10 years.
Wow.
Almost 11, and then did summers and all that stuff when I was a kid, and in between classes before I dropped out of college. And I'm out in the field. He runs the show in the back home, make sure the work stays ahead of us, and I keep it running smooth. Try to mitigate that gray hair growing in his beard.
I love it. How many guys do y'all have?
Right now I think we got 22 right now.
And tell me, how hard is it right now to get out there and find, and maybe you're not able to get, talented masons right off the bat, but actually even finding guys to come in and apprentice and learn, this great trade.
Dude, I see it. We all see it. It's hard to find folks, but we've been either lucky or I'm real good at marketing or something, because we got a bunch of good old kids out here.
Dude, that's great.
There's like the boys that taught me, right? that are, they're like that 40 to 50 to 60 range. But there is a gap, from them to me. Like it's, whatever generation or whatever my generation got told about college and all that stuff, it seems that there's a gap right there,
Hmm.
but a lot of those younger kids that are coming low, like they all want to come figure it out. So I don't know if we're doing a good job of selling this shit on social media or what we're doing, but no, we got a lot of really good, really ambitious kids that want to show up. So when I hear that, hey, no one wants to work every day, like sort of stuff, I want to bring them over to the job site and be like, look at all these. Like,
Dude,
I
good for
know.
you.
Yeah, we got like 4 or 5 of the old journeymen, but everybody else is 35 and under.
Wow. I mean, that's great. I mean, and that's great for a business too, because that shows, hey,
Yeah.
they're hanging around. If we invest in them, take care of them, they're going to stay here. Because I know a lot of guys in the blue collar trades right now that are kind of having to turn down work,
Yeah.
because they just are having to push work back. You know what I mean? Just because.
Yeah.
But that also, I mean, someone in a business like yours that your father's created, and then you're helping carry the torch now. I mean, I'm sure you guys are probably booked out pretty solid anyway, just from reputation and being around that long.
Yeah, yeah. My old man's done an incredible job. Like, he's from day one, he's been known as like the quality guy and like he'll show up and get it done. That's just the brand he's put out. So that's been real good. And it's the big general contractors around here see it, whether it's from Salt Lake or up here. And like you said, we're booked out till 2026, I think.
Jeez, that's awesome. That's a true testament to the workmanship and being someone easy to deal with and that keeps their word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say he's all that easy to deal with some days, but no, he's a good old boy. He's just stubborn.
Hey, and Corey, hey, that comes with the territory, right? I think as we
Yeah.
all get older, we get a little more stubborn and set in our ways, but that's just from aging.
Yeah, yeah. They send me in to do the PR work.
Justly so. So, in looking at your social medias, and for you guys that may miss the intro or weren't paying attention or pouring a drink, Jesse goes by Slim Brick over on all the socials, pretty much. Where did the inspiration for deciding to highlight what you do, from social on socials come from?
Are you familiar with who Stu Crompton is in the
Yeah.
Mason world?
Hmm.
So, Stu was going viral. You certainly saw his stuff that he was the first Mason to get 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and like you just see him on TikTok all the time. And I guess I got a little bit of my father's stubbornness because I just avoided TikTok for the long. I was like, no, that's kids app. I'm working. But um, my wife and sister were like, no, you need to get like, look at what he's doing. You need to do this. So my sister gets this. She actually came up with a Slim Brick handle, and my wife at the time had a profile, like Instagram and all this stuff for her car and like her car page and all that, and she was doing pretty well. So they like kind of coached me through all that and just kind of created this whole thing and was really throwing stuff at a wall to see what stuck. And now we're here.
Wait, what kind of cars your wife got?
She at the time, well, that's in storage right now, but she's got I think it's a 2011 Mitsubishi Evo. That's like the
Oh,
little show car, little
yeah.
and yeah, and then her daily is a 2019 Audi S4 that's been tuned to like 505 wheel horsepower.
Oh, so she likes to get after it then.
Yeah, bro. She's cool. She's real pretty, but she's a little bit of the tomboy. We get to have fun. It's
Yeah, hell yeah. That's awesome. I love it. And then from there, it's interesting because I think so many people don't understand the amount of work that goes into having an account and putting out, quality stuff. But because you're there to lay brick. You know what I mean? Like, so making sure, are you doing most of it just setting up a tripod in your phone and trying to make sure you get a big enough frame and just getting after it?
yeah, bro. I mean, to be honest, I'm probably setting stuff up behind a brick or whatever it is, setting out there.
Use what you got, man. You got a pile of bricks. Why not lean on that
Yeah,
shit?
yeah, exactly, bro. I don't have the tripod out there yet. But yeah, I just set it up and then film what we're doing at work, or if it's a lot of the stuff is me in the truck or at break or lunch, so I'm not interfering with the stuff, even though
Yeah.
everybody thinks that you produce and edit videos while everybody else is working.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's almost like a second job, right? You get clocked out, or you get a break, or you're on lunch, and boom, that's what you're working on. You're there just diligently getting after it, and I think people don't miss that. Like getting the actual footage is probably the easiest part.
Oh,
I mean, I'm the world's worst right now. I'm sitting on probably 50 pieces of things I got from the Indianapolis 500 last weekend, and I still haven't posted one thing yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I just haven't found. Because I know when I sit down and do it, it's going to take an hour or two to put together a proper reel. So it's like
Uh-huh.
I want to find that time to actually sit down with some quiet and get it done.
Yeah. I feel that, bro.
Yeah, you feel the pain. Um,
Uh,
when you started, what did you kind of think of putting stuff out there and the engagement? With being new to it, was it something that kind of made you continue to want to? Hey, I want to go further. I want to go deeper. Kind of get you
mm.
hooked into it.
Yeah, at first, I had a real hard time with doing this part, like putting me in front of the camera. I don't,
Hmm.
for whatever reason. So it was just like I film work or film something going on at work or like, end products and stuff. And then, you realize that everybody on the internet's God's gift of masonry and wants to tell you how you did it wrong. So I started moving toward, the stuff that I guess the easy way to say is the trying to be that journeyman that I needed when I was younger.
Hmm.
And like speaking out on all the stuff that I needed to speak out on and, carrying on and then still posting a bit of the work and just kind of ignoring the trolls and shit. But
Yeah,
yeah,
th- I
that
was,
just progressed.
yeah, I was gonna say those trolls can. You just got to put that shit away. You know what I mean? Like, those are people that are just gonna be miserable wherever, and they're just taking it out on you and your post. But
Mhm.
talking about some of the content that you've put out and kind of being that journeyman and sharing, I really liked one that I went back to, and it was on TikTok where, you were holding a brick and you're like, this is worth $5.85 to me. You know what I mean? And then you showed all that beautiful work you had done around that house, and I think you were doing a mailbox for them also, and you talked about how many bricks it was and what the margin is. And you just start doing that math in your head. And it's like, to me, that's very inspirational, right? Like you're showing the work, you're showing how to do it, but then also letting people know, like, hey, if you're willing to, like, here's what waits for you after, a couple hard days of work.
Yes, sir. Yeah, then that's where stuff gets rewarding, and it's because you can take a skill, and as long as you can produce the result and market the thing, you can go make all that money. Like that's like I get paid well at work, but that's where like a lot of the money comes from to take care of everything. Like when I made that video, that was when we were trying to buy this townhome. So it was like I was just out. I'd go do my 40 hours, and then every night after that, I'd be doing stuff like
Yep.
that, and
Just
then
hustle.
hustle, yeah, hustle, and then figure, I might as well take everybody else along the journey and show them I can, pound it out that freaking it's not all that bad. Not everybody's a dick in construction, but what really talks is money and how things you can take care of things. So I figure I better show all that.
Yeah. And I think that's powerful too, from the point of view of, having a skill where you want to go acquire an asset. You know what I mean? Whether it be that townhouse or whether it be a boat or an
Mm-hmm.
RV. You know what I mean? You can sit there and look and go, okay, if I pick up this much side work, boom, in 6 months, I've obtained my goal, or whatever it is, and I feel like not everybody's gifted with that. I feel like that's one of the things, like, and mechanics do it. I mean, electricians, all those different trades that, yeah, you're working for somebody, but you've got some downtime too. Like you said, whether it be at night, whether it be on the weekends, if you really want something, you've got the skills to and the licensure to go out and do it.
Yeah, 100%. That's I made a joke the other day about I seen a street glide on Instagram and I was like, "Hey, if like anybody knows 35 homes that need a mailbox, I got something I need to, spend some money on."
Yeah. No, that's that's so true though. Have you, on your account, have you had some younger folks reach out to you and look for some mentorship and have some interest in the trade?
Yeah, man. 100%. That's probably the coolest part about all this is the fact that like I'll check my DMs and it'll be some kid that's like, "Hey, bro, you inspired me to do this. I've been in it a year now, and like I'm doing this, this, and this." Or like, like I said, we got a bunch of young kids at work, and the majority of them are here because of my social media. Like as far as finding us,
Yeah.
outside of my old man's reputation, the company's reputation, and stuff like that. But they find me there, or someone they know found me there and sent them to me, and now we've got this great generation of kid or group of kids that's working out. And then, like I said, those the DM that's what keeps me going is those DMs of like, "Hey, man, you posted this a while ago, and now I'm still in it."
Yeah. And one of those can offset 1,000 haters and trolls. You know what I mean? Because that's the whole reason you're there, and knowing you're impacting somebody. It's
Mhm.
such a good feeling to give them, a career. Really, obviously they're working and earning it, but you provided some type of inspiration to push them that way, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, man. It's cool, and that's to the trolls. Like I learned a long time ago. Like it's something's wrong with their day, not mine, like you said. So I try to respond like someone will get me, and I can make the funny video, but I try to make that like, hey, dude, I don't know what's going on with your day, but I hope it gets better.
Proud sponsor of the show, Welder Nation. Man, I will tell you what, if you are looking for apparel that is built for that trade, this is made for the 0.1 percenters. Those folks out there putting apparel to the test, working some of the most dangerous jobs in some of the most dangerous places. The last thing you can have is faulty gear, faulty apparel. Go check out weldernation.com. Feel free to use my discount code OldBoyPodcast for 15% off. One of the another thing I think that's great on the marketing of trying to get younger folks in it is numerous times and viewing your account, you talk about bricks being adult Legos.
Yeah, dude.
And like, what kid didn't love growing up with Legos? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the whole industry, every trade. It's just all the stuff we did as kids. You got tractors, you got sand piles, you got Legos, you got all sorts of stuff. And so you keep that perspective. It makes work a little like like I'm just a big kid in the sand pile.
I love it. In thinking about some of the work, what would you say now, looking back on what you've done? Let's two parts of the question. One, what's been one of the more rewarding jobs that you've done with the company, and then what's been one of the more rewarding jobs you've done just as kind of a sideline or hustle piece?
With the company, we did. I still think one of the cooler jobs we did was they redid all the press box and all that stuff up here at USU's football stadium. And Logan a little bit, so like tiny town, and it's got a college in it. That's all anybody cares about if it ain't the farm or work. So like everybody cheers on that. So that's cool to be a part of that. Like that's some big thing that sits up there. I'm like, yeah, I did that. And then there's a couple other buildings on campus that I've been a part of and things like that are cool. But like that one's just for whatever reason that's cool because we all love football, we all love that shit. So
hell yeah, the USU Aggies.
Yes, sir. Yeah, shout out to my boy Ike.
I think I'm going to be wrong with this, but I kind of feel like I'm right. Jordan Love came from Utah State, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Damn, I'm good.
Yep. Yeah, he's a little younger than me. I was in school with Bobby Wagner.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Jordan came out of Utah State and dude's balling now. So
dude, I met him on the Dan Patrick show this February, the Super Bowl in Vegas, and dude, he's a big dude. And he was super polite, man. Really nice guy. And I think this is going to be a year where he really breaks out. Just a little more experience. He's got all the tools. They got a good team around him. I think he's going to do some awesome things.
Yeah, dude. I hope so. That kid deserves, like you said, he's nothing but nice. So
yeah, he was such a good dude. What would you say is one of the more difficult jobs that you've done, and why?
Difficult jobs would be so the first job I got thrown out on as the lead or the foreman was our city fire station here, and that put some years behind me, I think. So it's supposed to be this like undestructible shelter, bro. Like so if some disaster happens, that's where people are supposed to go. So it's everything inside is made out of block. They had rebar every 8 inches, every 16 inches, and like, both vertical and horizontal. And then we came back and did the brick. At that time we did it right in the middle of all that snow that came through, like when Alta and everything getting 1,000 inches. So I'd show up Monday, and we'd have to shovel 2 feet of snow off all our tarps and everything. Like it was just hell. And that was the most difficult one. Yeah. And it's so far.
Well, and that sounds for just so. Question I have, you brought it up there, is explain to me, and this is just personal and inquisitiveness because I've never laid concrete or rebar or bricked or anything. Like, how does that work with setting the like? That's got to be one of the toughest parts of the job, right? Is getting all that block and setting all the rebar.
Yeah, so like that's where all the coordination comes from. So like I don't pour pads or do footings or any of that stuff. That's somebody else, and that's like my least favorite person on the planet because they can't pull a tape to save their life. And like I get it. There's other things that could have caused that, but like I swear every time that they put our vertical rebar dowels in the concrete, they want to put it right in the center web of that CMU every time, bro. Instead of they got 8 inches on either or 4 inches on either side you could have hit.
Yeah.
But it's we all struggle, so what do you do? But yeah, you've got that. So you got your block. You got to lay around all that shit. You got the plumber shit in there. You got the electrician shit in there. Got to do all this stuff. You got to put embeds in for the roof, and then every 6 feet you come back and core fill it with grout, and then you got to have all your rebar in place. And like I said, that job was every 8 or 16 inch vertical and horizontal that I'm fighting. A 12-inch block around that weighs 45 pounds. There's like 12,000 of them on that job.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's and so a job that size, like how many guys how many guys did you have running that, like working with you since you were the foreman?
We started out with 6. And that's just because we had a crew in the library, had a crew in another spot as well. So we started out with 6. The younger guys could block or heavy, so we let the older journeyman go lay brick, and we get around, and then it gets to the point where like you're in the schedule and everybody's like looking at you like, hey, we're gonna get this done, and so you move people around, and by the time we were done with it, we had all 22 of the guys there getting all the brick done and all that stuff, because like there's a 40-foot tower on there, and yeah,
Damn,
it's a pretty building.
Yeah, no kidding. One of the pieces of advice I'd seen you give, and I thought it was really, really, really smart, was 3 things you said: learn a hard trade, learn to market yourself, and answer the damn phone. That to me is pretty powerful, because you know talk to me about those 3, and especially the last one, like, because that is a problem sometimes in the trades. Is, and I understand guys are busy, but that could be your next gig calling in, and you're just gonna brush it off. And even if you don't have time, at least just be like, hey man, I could get to it, but it's gonna be 3 months out, 6 months out. At least you called them back, and in the future they may reach back out to you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I say learn a trade. Learn a hard trade, because competition's low. So supply and demand means your wages are going up. Like, that's simple math. Learn how to market yourself. Whether it's you want to post some stuff on social media, you want to get in local Facebook groups or whatever, and be like, hey, here's my work. This is what I do. Do you need it? All that sort of stuff. And like those 2 things are gonna bring you in those phone calls, and you're gonna be able to make, like you said earlier, whatever amount of money you want to go make, is even if it's a side job, like you can pick up stuff every weekend, every night, and go get ahead and all that. But if you don't answer the damn phone, then how are they gonna get to you? And it's something, I said it because it's like I'm busy myself, and my old man's real busy, and like, but out of the brickyard, they've got a list of contractors, right? And my old man's name is at the bottom of the list, and they call me when they don't get a hold of him, right?
Yep.
But he's the bottom of the list, and like my mom's the one that runs that phone number, all that stuff, and so she'll get someone will call her, and she's like, "Hey, we're too busy for all that. Like, we can't go fix your chimney because we're doing, all these big buildings.
Yep.
But like, I'll recommend so and so, so and so, and so and so, and then inevitably, like 4 or 5 days, they'll call back and be like, "Hey, you're the only one that answered. So, like, are you sure you can't do it?"
And he's intentionally last on the list because you guys are so booked up, and it's still getting to them and then back to them again.
Yeah, and yeah, you hear
That's
like,
wild.
and it's all the time. People be like, "I can't find a mason in this town," and in my brain, I'm like, "Shit, I know 30 of them." Like what?
Yeah, that is so wild. And another thing that I noticed that you talked about that I thought was really cool, and I'll let you explain it, is you had a similarity between crabs in a bucket and kind of the construction lifestyle and business. And I think that was because, once again, like, young guys that get into construction, if they don't have their head on straight, you end up with a pile of money in your pocket and a little bit of free time on your hands, and it's easy to want to go lay out at the bar or get into some shit, but then the next morning you got to go answer the bell. But I thought that analogy was really good. You mind explaining that to us a little bit?
Yeah, man. So for folks that don't know, if you take a bunch of crabs, put them in a bucket, if one of them tries to climb out, the rest will pull it back down, right? They don't want that crab to escape. And so I relate that to the construction industry a lot, because you see we have our problems in the industry, and it's if you see someone like naturally, you see someone go to the gym, they say, "Hey, bro, you didn't work hard enough today," or like you see someone like doesn't want to go out to the bar, all that stuff with you, like they must be better than you, or like the kid that's out there trying to work hard to get up higher, they're like, "Hey, bro, you're working too hard," like all that sort of
Showing us
stuff.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, you're showing us up, or you're working too hard for your paid, and like instead of encouraging them, and so that's just prevalent. And I don't think that's a construction anything industry thing per se, but it is something that we've all faced. So it's like you're trying to get better, but there's all like your environment or like the people, potential people in your environment pulling you back down, just like those crabs in a bucket would.
Yeah, and that's just that's a tough spot to be in because you to me you want to encourage guys and not make them feel ostracized. You know what I mean, for working a little bit harder and just trying to get to that next level. But at the same time, too, if you're the new kid on the block, like the last thing you want is for three-quarters of the crew to not to not respect you or not want to be around you. It's
Yeah.
like real
Yeah.
catch 22. You got to be pretty strong and determined and just say, nah, man, like I'm gonna beat to my own drum. I'm gonna get out here. I'm gonna bust my ass, and you guys can either come along with me or but I'm not gonna let it hold me back.
Right.
Um, because you're the only one that can control what you bring to the table as far as how much you earn or how you
Hmm.
earn.
Hmm.
And nobody's gonna want to when you sit down with your boss for your review. You go, well, I kind of half-assed it because the rest of the guys were half-assing it. That's
Yeah.
that's not gonna get you real far, old boy.
I laid one
I,
more block, but he did.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Looking to get credit for the shit you're paid to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's par for the course.
Yes, sir. So going back to the social media thing for a second.
Hmm.
I saw where you've gotten some pretty cool opportunities. One of them that
Hmm.
I saw was the world of concrete. So I did a national hardware show a couple of years ago in Vegas, and
Hmm.
the world of concrete show was finishing up as we were there. I was enamored. I mean, that is a fucking show, bro. I mean, there
That's
is.
crazy.
Talk. I mean, you got to walk the floor. I literally just walked by enough to just be able to look in. But like, dude, there's cement trucks on the floor. Like they bring
Mhm.
some real deal Holyfield shit in there.
Yeah, bro, they brought Trackzilla out. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's
No,
as the little kid in me, bro, that thing is so it's a telehandler on tracks that has like a dude, I think it has a 100-foot boom. This dude built it because he builds steel erections and roofs and stuff. So he had him custom build this massive thing to be able to lift all those roof panels and all that stuff up without getting a crane and something more maneuverable. It's massive, bro. Like it's so big the cab goes up and down for you to get in it, right? Like
jeez.
so they're bringing stuff like that out. Plus, you get to interact with like all your favorite brands, and then all this stuff. Like that's how I built the relationship with Fracco. The first year I went out there, they had the exoskeleton thing, and put that on. And my wife had taken a video of me and Anthony, like showing me how to do it. We posted on social media, and next day, open the thing up, and it's got 4 million views on TikTok. And I'm back walking around World of Concrete, and Anthony comes up to me, and goes, "Hey." He goes, "Why are all my friends sending me this video? Like?" And so now I've got that relationship with them. We just got 3 new towers, a mass climber scaffold. Going out to Canada here soon to see headquarters and stuff. So speaking on those opportunities, like you said, that's all from something at World of Concrete, just because we were walking around and got to actually interact with them. And th- then on top of that, you got like you get to go see the fastest brick masons in the world, the Bricklayer 500 and the fastest trowel on the block, and see all those guys compete. I mean, they're laying 800 block in an hour or 800 brick in an hour. It's
Well, that's a young man's game, son. Damn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Eight,
crazy, bro.
so we're talking like laying, sticking, finishing 800 bricks in an hour.
Yeah, and I mean, realistically, they're laying more than that, but then they get deductions, right? So like, you got tippers, you got stuff like that, and so they're getting a little bit of deductions. But the guy that won, I think, was just a hair under 800 after deductions in an hour, and that's you got to somewhat be able to sell the wall because like they build a double width wall, right?
Mhm.
And they don't know what side the judge is going to tell them to tool. So like,
Oh.
yeah, so you don't know, and so you're building a double width wall, and then the judge is like, cool, you get that side, then you get, I think it's like 15 minutes to dress it up, tool it up, and then they come through, do their deductions, and carry on.
Damn, that would be cool to watch.
It's like a rock show, man. They got freaking live music, everybody cheering
Yeah.
around. Yeah, it's cool.
Hopefully they got some cold beer around there so you can enjoy a couple of those while you're watching. Damn.
Yeah, they take care of it, buddy.
That's great. And how many people you think attend that show? I mean, it's got to be huge. I mean, you think about how many people have to be in the construction and concrete business with all the damn growth and building and everything going on in this country. Like that's got to be 100,000 plus people, or is that too high?
Yeah. No, I think you're about right for the full week of events and stuff. I think you're about right. And because they got that whole freaking Las Vegas Convention Center, every wing of it and the parking lot.
One of the things you brought up there, Jesse, that I find pretty interesting is, a lot of times people come to me because of my job with Traeger. I helped build out the majority of that social influencer team that we have there. And, everybody comes up like, man, how do I partner with the brand? Like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And, you kind of hit on it. You already liked the product. You used the product, you displayed it and showed it on your social media, and then a relationship came. I've had so many people that, will reach out and go, your brand needs to partner with me because of this. And I'm like, as soon as I see that line, it's like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit about your following because you just told me right there, you're in it for one thing, you. Whereas, the example you just gave, or, like I've always said before in the way I handle sponsorships, little old $1,000, $2,000 sponsorships when I was starting in competition barbecue was I had a resume of, hey, here's all the stuff we've done. And I also would just lay out a 1-page plan. Like, hey, if you do a 1-year, deal with us, here's how we're going to market your company. Here's where we're going to try to give you exposure. Here's what we're willing to do. Like, and have already used the product, you know what I mean? Already be a customer, hey, here's what I love about your product. Here's where I think we can help amplify it, and just keep it, be humble about it. You know what I mean? Like look at every one of those opportunities as, something you're graced with a presence of, and not here's why you need to work with me. I think that's just a terrible approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you got to think too, like, I mean, I could wear any brand shirt or whatnot, but why not wear the one that I've always been wearing? And they know that. Like, Troll can go back and go see what I ordered up to that point, like.
Yep.
And I think there are some brands that are conscious of that, of like, why would we support, like you said, why would we support you? Like, have you ordered anything from Traeger? Have you ordered, like, do you have, like,
you ever cooked out one? You even know what it cooks like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or are you just looking at the grill company with the biggest community and social media following and saying, oh man, I want to get a piece of that, which a lot of guys do.
Yeah.
And
100%.
They usually get their feelings hurt when I call them out about it, but tough shit. Get a better pitch, old boy. Or just be more authentic, because any brand, when you partner with somebody, they want that authenticity. That's why they're partnering with you. You know what I mean? There's 1,000 options out there, people to work with, but the people that brands want to work with are the authentic folks that's their voice. You know what I mean? You're not out there trying to be, some sham wow guy at a fucking home show. Like you really believe in the product and it fits in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what like is awesome about Troll is one, like whether it's the support blue collar stuff or the fact that they actually do that shit. Like,
yeah,
they're taking care of all of us. They're like, if anybody has an idea, that one of them's right there behind you trying to help you out, and they're giving money back to the right places, doing stuff like this, all that.
Well, and to me too, it's one of those one of the things that I love about Troll, and I've mentioned on several podcasts, but I just think it rings so true is, they've let whoa, hey Jason, they let the community curate the brand. I started talking about Troll, and one of the owners just had to pop in here, just, hey, Jason, we're talking good about you, boy. But no, like letting the community curate the socials and where the brand goes. You know what I mean? Like, they want that feedback of, hey, Slim, what should we be working on? Is there any apparel or anything you want that would help? You know what I mean? And not just be cool, but like that's one thing I love about their stuff too, is it's functional. The shit holds up. It's built for blue collar people and built for blue collar jobs.
Yes, sir. And that's to your point. Like there's little things, whether it's like, hey, we're doing little content challenges and stuff, but not once has anyone ever reached out to me and be like, we need you to say this about troll. Like it's, hey, go to work, go wear it, like tag us, don't tag us.
Yep.
Just we're at, like you said, it's pretty cool that they give you free reigns to like wear the
Be
scarf out
yourself.
if you love it. Yeah, and be myself. Like, and they support like anytime I've had one of those messages I want to put out, they're right behind me.
And the other thing I'd love to say too for anybody out there listening that has a brand, do not ever build out an ambassador team and try to change the way they speak to the customer. If so, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. Just start doing directed social media ads if you wanted to be in your voice. Because to me, when you bring ambassadors on and you partner with them, you're partnering with them because of their voice and because of their authenticity. So like the way we the way we do it at Traeger is let's say, okay, we've got it. Actually, this is true. We got a sale coming up,
Hmm.
and hey, all we want to let people know is they can go into their local retailer, get this, and this, or if they don't have a retailer around them, they can go online to Traeger, and these are the deals.
Hmm.
And we send that out to 700 plus people as part of the ambassador team, and just say, hey, if you could, we'd love for you to post about this. And here's the point we're trying to get across. You get it across however you talk to your community. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, and no, if you don't have time to take any pictures or get any assets, hey, we've got a folder. If you want to use it, you can, but don't feel obligated to. And to me, that's how you handle ambassadors and ambassador teams is let them know the message you're trying to get across. Hey, if you can help us out, great, and do it the way you want to do it. That makes it work, and that's because if not, then everybody starts seeing the same post, and it just looks so robotic and so payola.
Yeah, it's terrible. And that's, being on the other side of that, I've been in both situations. Like someone's paid me to be like, hey, here's your script, deliver it. And I'm like, God, that one's the one that takes the longest to do, even though I have it all in front of me. Like all I gotta do is
Yes.
read. And so, but in this situation, it's like, I'll wear this shit every day. I'll tag them every single time I post something.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just you being you. You're
Yeah.
just wearing something you like and believe in.
Yeah.
Um, one of the other tips that you gave, because you've done well on social media and you continue to grow. Well, one thing I want to talk about, because I've always wondered about this shit, because I'm kind of the same way on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
I saw you post the other day where you're like, man, I feel like I've been at 98.3 like for 4 months or 3 months, like, but I'm watching followers get added every day. Like, do they just not want to give me the 100K? Like, what the fuck's going on? So,
Bro,
talk a
it
little bit
drives me
about that.
nuts. It drives me nuts, bro. It's something like, because it's arbitrary, right? The 100K, like it doesn't. It's just a number, and
Yeah.
TikTok goes. It doesn't even show shit to your followers and whatnot. But I had it in my brain for so long. Like that 100K was the goal. Like I got to get. I want to cross that off, and it's brought me right to the freaking precipice. And then they're like, "No, do you want to?" But it's like I said, I see every freaking day, bro. There's like it's not that I'm not gaining followers. I see the notification. I'm like, this number never moves. And that's why I was like, screw it. I'm going to kick over back to Instagram, hang out with the old folks, and see what feels on over there. And, at the time, when I made that decision, I had, still 98.2 thousand followers. Now I'm at 98.3 a year and a half, 2 years later. But
Wow.
on Instagram, I had like 2,000, 2,500 followers at that time, and now we're near 60K. And I was like, so like it's the same content, it's the same exact video posted at the same exact time, and it's just I don't know. Like I don't know if it's this thing that they've got like, oh, if we don't give it to him, he'll keep posting and trying more, or like what I don't know. It drives me nuts, man.
Hey, it's one of those things I always like to live by the mantra of only sweat the things that are in your sphere of influence. You know what I mean? So you just keep posting away, and one day they'll give it to you, or it'll get seized by the U.S. government. One of the two. Who knows?
Yeah,
um,
yeah, bro.
but a piece of advice that you had for people wanting to get into social media, people wanting to grow their social media that I thought was really sound was be one of three things or all if you're talented enough to, and it was be entertaining, be educational, and or funny. and
Hmm.
and to me that middle one, educational, I think, unless you're going the whole skit comedy route, which is perfectly fine, and some memes that, you can be
Yeah.
educational and then post in some memes that are just funny and entertaining. You know what I mean? But I feel like all the time when people are like, "Man, I want to be an influencer. I want to be an influencer." Like, okay, well, what are you going to influence? Like, what are you a subject matter expert on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I just want to like product test cool shit. Everybody fucking does, dude.
Yeah.
But
Because I appreciate.
yeah, exactly. But like, what are you gonna educate people on? You know what I mean? And if you don't have that core competence of being a subject matter expert in something and having something to share, then you're going to have to fall back on that entertaining and funny because you sure as hell can't be educational.
To your point, it's that's the stuff that goes on social. Like, I use, you can go through my profile and see that I use the memes, but like, and to me, it almost like I try to use those like we're fishing, right? Like that's good bait, and so I'll bring them in and they get them hooked on the like, oh, this dude actually lays brick. Oh, this dude actually gives a shit about someone's like mental health or like teaching them something in this trade. And so like,
Yeah.
I try to use it that way, but that's the stuff that like no one messaged me and is like, bro, you're so goddamn funny. That's why I learned how to lay brick. Like, or like I joined the trade. Like, no, it's like, bro, that meme you posted really got me hooked into this shit. You explain that if you take a 65-cent brick, you can turn it into a $5.85 brick in the right situation.
All right, guys, proud sponsor of the show, 5-9 Whiskey. You will see me enjoying this from time to time during the podcast. It is delicious, smooth. I've shared it with a ton of friends, and all they want to know is, where can I get it? Built for the tradesman that's put in that long day's work, and when it's over, they want to sit down with a nice whiskey, enjoy those wins from the day, and get ready for the next one. Where can you get it? 5-9 Whiskey. That's spelled out, 59whiskey.com. Don't forget about the promo code, enter Old Boy Podcast for 15% off. And to me, the entertaining and the funny part, once you have a community, it just allows them to get to know you a little better outside of, honestly, just laying bricks. You know what I mean? Like, it shows some of your fun side, some of your personality. Oh shit, this is what Slim thinks is funny. You know what I mean? Like that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I get to tell everybody I'm bricked up all the time. That's
one thing we kind of talked about USU a little bit, but you being up there in Logan, Utah, and as you guys know, I work for Traeger, so I get out to Salt Lake a bunch. Dude, Utah's an awesome spot. I think it gets very undersold for how beautiful and what a great state it is to be in the outdoors in.
oh yeah, dude, and that's why we're still here. I don't know if you a basketball fan at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you see all the stuff like it was back a couple little while ago about like the NBA players making fun of the All-Star game coming here because there was no nightlife?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like that's you get people that are like, oh, there's nothing to do in Salt Lake, even though, or like Utah, even though all that stuff's still down there, but it's drive an hour outside of that city, and it's like,
Oh,
you got lakes, rivers, mountains, like anything you could ever want to do here as far as outdoors. You got wonderful hunting, fishing, like all that, like,
yes.
and
No,
that's what
it's
keeps you.
yeah, or just like, or even like just river floats, like from where we're at in Salt Lake, like going and floating the Weber, or there's just so many cool spots to just go and enjoy and take friends and family and some bevies and just go make a day of it and have a good time.
Yeah, we're blessed out here, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it gets all, I don't want to say, I think everybody focuses on the liquor and drink laws, which they do suck. And just the Mormon religion part of it, where it's like, oh, believe me, not every Mormon's a polygamist. You know what I mean? Like there's like everybody always associates Utah with polygamy, and it's like, dude, I've never like, and I've been outside of Salt Lake City, and I've never just seen a man and his harem of women walking around downtown. You know what I mean? It's but everybody gets this stigma of Utah that's what it's gonna be, and it's like, dude, you're so far off. It's one of the best states in the country.
Yeah, dude, and it's like you said, it's got its faults. We got the presiding religion taking care of a lot of stuff, and like they got their hand and they got their influence, but it's also the amount of people here that are part of that. They're going to serve the majority.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But like you said, it's not like it's walking around outside. It's not like
Exactly.
and there's communities for it. Like we all know where they're at, and
Yeah.
carrying on. But like to your point, no one's ever stopped me from having a good time. Like
Well, and that's also too, like in your sphere of influence or in your sphere of impact. Like, look, man, if that's what makes them happy and that's what gives them a fulfilled life, guess what, dude? Not impacting my life at all. You
mhm,
you you go live your most fulfilled life. Whether it be religion or sexual orientation or whatever. Look, man, if it's
mhm,
not impacting me, I'm not here, dude. I have fucked up plenty of things. Like I am not here to judge you and your decisions.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and so yeah, I'll take that stigma and all day long to get those beautiful mountains, the Uintas and the good fishing and the good boating. I mean, the Green River. I mean, that's a treasure in itself. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
floating that and fishing it. Holy shit, man! It's amazing.
yeah. It's incredible. I'm right there with you, brother. So you say you come out here if we ever want to go float down that. I'll bring the fly rods. I'll meet you down there.
Hey, that sounds good. Maybe I'd love to have you up to I'd love it to have you to Salt Lake too to see the new Traeger headquarters. It's pretty sick. It was an old so it's in downtown Salt Lake, that old newspaper building there on 500 West, and it was like, gosh, I want to say it was built in like 2000 or I'm sorry, 1905, 1906. Had this a guy like yourself that can appreciate like builds and structures and that kind of stuff. It was kind of
Mhm.
cool when we first went in to look at the building. We always have a big room called the Abbey, which is where we all get together for lunch. And Trigger's grown so big since when I started there that you got to have a pretty sizable area for company meetings and lunch and this and that. And when
Mhm.
we walked into what we thought that room was going to be, there was this completely wooden ceiling that looked kind of like a whiskey barrel. Like really had the small boards, and it just was gorgeous. And it was like, okay, there's a lot of shit in this building that needs to be
That's cool.
refurbed and redone. But like this, we got to find some way to keep. But just that old 120-year-old building. But now you walk into it and it's so vibrant and there's so much custom artwork and just little attention to detail stuff. It's like a very warm place. So when I kind of get my schedule here over the next couple of months when I'm going to be there, I'll shoot it to you. And if you could break away for a half day or something and come hang out with us, I'd love to show you around.
Oh, I'm good at calling a nooner a sooner, old boy.
you kind of know the boss, old boy. You just tell me going to handle some business, Dad. I'll be back.
No, that'd be great. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Two things, in talking about the business that I gleaned from just kind of researching you and kind of your take on things. And one of them I've always preached to guys is, barbecue has become my life, and that's allowed me to start doing some other things, like this that aren't 100% barbecue focused. But,
Mm,
I guess you could technically say I still haven't left my day job. My day job is working for Traeger.
yeah.
But I never thought about jumping into barbecue full time right off the rip. Like I was doing turnaround and startup software companies, but I was taking all my vacation time from doing those and kind of making a name for myself in competition barbecue, traveling all over the country. And, I was one of those guys, I didn't want to just sit here in Florida and beat up on the same dudes, but it was all a side hustle and it was all a side investment. I mean, to go cook a
Mhm.
barbecue contest just locally back then was still $700 to $1,000 for a weekend. Now
Mhm.
it's probably 1,500. But then you start tacking on. I went to 28 different states and competed, and that was just because I wanted to go meet more people, and it wasn't like I started doing it to create this brand whiskey bin or that thing. It was just at that time, man, I was just real into competing, and I just wanted to I'd won a couple of grand championships here in Florida and say, well, shit, can I take this circus on the road and go win a couple in some other states? And really, it was just more of challenging myself. But never did I abandon that. Some will call it a security blanket. I will. I'd never
Yeah.
abandoned that day job to go chase that full time because the money just didn't make sense at that point. And I feel like you talk about that too. Like, hey man, if you get a job with a company, dude, that's great. Go do it. And if whether it's in the trade or not, but hey, if
Mhm.
you've got this real passion to do it, then start it as a side hustle, man. Get your little LLC, go out and spend your weekends and your nights doing it. Don't feel like you got to full send it right off the bat and start building a business from nothing with no income coming in, unless you have a really fucking rich wife. But don't do that. Learn
Mhm.
your skills and hone your skills while this is a side hustle. Build those business skills. Build the key thing is build those relationships. Then when you
Mhm.
do decide that this is going to be full time and you're going to hang a shingle, you're set and you're ready to go. I'd want to be booked 6 to 9 months out before I would want to jump off and then take that risk.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, man. And that's like, I mean, that makes, the concept of that, like, I get to say that from a privileged point, right? Like, we got the great family business that's going
Yep.
on, but, and I got to bring this up because I know that that wasn't the case for my dad. Like, that, oh boy, he decides to go out on his own and he's at a house and, shows up to get the house. And back then, mortar didn't come pre-mixed like it does now. And, still people mix it with sand and whatnot. But he shows up to the house and orders a truck of sand. He goes, put half over there. And then he notices this house over here is being built. And he goes, and put half of it over there. He does not know these people, right? So he's got his sand over there. And the guy comes over, eventually as he's laying his brick. He comes over and goes, hey, I noticed you left half your load of sand over here. He goes, yeah, I'm going to break your house. And the guy goes, oh, you are? And he goes, yep, I'm breaking your house. I just figured I'd leave it over there. And, guy says, yeah, takes a chance, appreciates the ambition. And my dad, so he takes this, he goes, here's the deal. He goes, I can pay you half, but I don't know what the deal was back in the day with the MLM, but his wife sold like cruises or something, right? He
Mhm.
goes, but you got to take a cruise for half of it because, like you got to help if I'm helping you. And so he's, a young man at this point and had a kid, that sort of stuff. He goes, you know what, whatever, we're going to do it. And he tells me, I was like, because I've asked, how's the cruise? He goes, it was cool. He goes until about day 4. He goes, and then I started thinking about, God, I'm going to have to call your grandpa back. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do when I get home. I'm going to have to figure this, like, I got a kid and all this stuff. But he gets home after day 7, gets home after all this anxiety for 3 days, gets home and he says, I get home and look at the phone. He goes, and the voicemail thing is blinking. And he goes, gets up and goes, your voicemail inbox is full because that old boy had told so many people about the good job, like the ambition and the good job he did. So he just don't like he took the chance, he had all that under him. But I got to bring up that story because that's always been so, like there's a reason that dude's my hero.
Dude, that's a hell of a story, and I'm glad you brought that up because that right there, taking the ambition to take a chance and then it paying off like that, like those investments can make a business. You just have to be willing to take that cut, that little bit of haircut that you need to take, or just that leap of faith. That's
Mhm.
that's awesome. What a story.
Yeah, it's his story. He's incredible, dude. Like I had always joked, like I thought my dad was Alan Jackson when I was a kid because uh, like he's got the mullet. He looks like me.
Yeah.
Look at. And so I always thought my dad was Alan Jackson because, like, dad was always working. Like, he'd come home at night, right? But I see Alan Jackson on the TV, and they're like, "Oh, that's my dad. He's just out, playing guitar." But he's busting his ass.
You're like, Dad just out playing guitar, singing music, and chasing women. Like, damn, here I am.
Yeah, but in reality, he's out there busting the ass, freaking. Like, we got stories. My mom would bring in lunch. He'd sit on the scaffold, eat lunch, and go right back to it, just sun up to sun down until he got what the hell he wanted. And now he's still trying to grow that and help me grow that. And yeah, it's something.
I love it. And one more thing I want to talk about before we start wrapping it up, Slim. We already chewing through some time, old boy. I love it.
Mhm.
Um, I saw it as I think it's your most current post on TikTok right now. Obviously, probably won't be when this airs. And
Mhm.
I know in the trades we consider ourselves to be big strong men, and you can't show weakness, and you just got to power through it and internalize everything. Man, it's
Mhm.
that's kind of while that's a very old school way of thinking, the more we know now, it's definitely not a healthy way of thinking.
Larry Rough Iron, that's where that post comes from because he made the post like, "Hey, I'll sit with you," and then I just kind of piggybacked on his idea there because it's something we both want to speak on, and it's I grew up in the industry. Like I've been playing in a sand pile since I was a little kid. Like those old boys have babysat me, and then I grew up in it, and you see it. There's advantages to being told to man up, and there's disadvantages to being
Yeah.
told to man up. And so, like, that's not a one size fits all of our problems, but a lot of folks will take that and like, okay, cool, I gotta just man and like hide all this, and like that in turn turns into like guys hiding it behind alcohol, hiding it behind drugs, or hiding it
Yeah.
like suffering in silence. And so it's important to as we go on, like be that guy that's looking out for the guy next to you on the wall, or like I said, be the journeyman that you needed. Like if you see someone struggling, like be there. Like we don't need to do the whole thing where the new kid shows up and you need to break him. He's not a horse. Like,
Yeah.
it's important to like be aware of those things. Like you gotta have some backbone to be out
Mhm.
here. Like
Yeah.
laying brick and block and doing any other trade ain't easy, but we can't have you can't come out here and have soft hands, brother.
Yeah.
That you know, to that point, you still can't like try to run these kids and break their back. Like I said, it's just not the case, and it doesn't even have to be the kids. Like the journeyman next year, like if you see, like I spend most of my life with those boys. I spend far more time with them than I do with my wife because I'm at work most of the week,
Mhm.
and if someone's having a bad day, like they don't got to say it, like
Yep.
and so be the guy. Like don't be to the point of like, hey, if you need anything, reach out. Like be that, of course, but like be proactive. Like if you see that old boy down the wall from you, like he's having a hard time, go like you don't got to do it in front of everybody. Like when you go to break, go over and be like, hey, bro, you doing good? Like let's sit in the truck. Let's go get our drink together. You got anything you can talk to me? Let's do it.
Yep.
And that's just
It-
something that like needs to be a little more prevalent out in the world itself.
No, I completely agree, and it's one of those too. It's like, and that don't cost you a thing. Trying to just checking in and taking care of a brother and or a sister. Depending on what your crew's built of, but just being able to be there and them to know, and maybe they're not ready to talk about it right now, but they just know, hey, when you got somebody here, and sometimes that's all somebody needs is one person in their corner, one person that they know gives a shit and is there for them regardless. Whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, if you need me, give me a call. Let's get through this together. And and once again, if you care enough about folks, I mean, that should just be second nature. But yeah, I think it does need to be talked about more. And like you said, you still got to have a thick skin and rough hands to work in the trades. But dude, it doesn't mean that does not mean that you need to be going through this torture inside without sharing it with. If you're at that point that you're thinking about making that decision, you need to talk to people. You know what I mean? And you can talk to your rough ass buddy right next to you. I'm sure once they understand, hey man, this shit's serious. Like this ain't ball busting. This ain't lunchtime. Breaking balls. This is legit. That they're willing to have that conversation, sit down, and be there for you.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, like there's we're all a little rough on the edges out here in construction. It's everybody's got a hard exterior, but 9 times out of 10 they got a real soft inside. So
Absolutely.
it's even that grumpy old dude, like even that grumpy old dude will sit there and listen to you, as long as you got his respect.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That, and that's the thing right there. As long as you've got his respect, and more than happy to take care of you and make sure things are good. Another thing I wanted to ask you is you have anything cool coming up as far as any other events or brands you're working with or anything neat like that on the horizon?
Like I said, we're going to Canada. Franco's gonna fly me and Christina out,
Nice.
which is
What,
crazy. Like,
what, what part of Canada?
they're in Montreal, so Quebec and
Awesome.
all that. Yeah, and I know some of our Canadian buddies on here are gonna say that's not Canada, but to me it can.
It's in
But
the country.
yeah, there's no set date or anything, but trying to get locally, and then maybe if I have my little pipe dream, I can get it bigger. But I want to do a blue collar career day here locally. Like I
That'd
want to
be
give
awesome.
like we got the trade school and that's good and all, and I want to support those kids too. And I've been talking to some of the local younger contractors and stuff like that. But I think really want to do this idea of like maybe in the fall time when school's back in session, going back to one of these high schools and like getting the contractors to bring like a little bit of equipment, like a little bit of stuff. Like if you could bring, I want to try and get Ashton to come out. That's that masonry girl. She teaches masonry down there in Texas and North Carolina and all that stuff, and get her because she's got a great way of getting these kids hands on experience and like playing with a brick and laying it. if I could get that and get like the local contractors and get in front of these kids, because like I said, my generation was you go in the counselor's office, there's 4 banners: Utah State, Weber State, BYU, Utah. Well, there's not a damn thing about going to work at Jacobson or going to work for us or going to work for any of them. So it's
Yeah.
something that I want to get in front of. Like I can do a good job on social media, but like I want to create this event and like really get back into like the stuff right here around me and see what we can't do to encourage these kids to like get a little hands-on experience and think about this as they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their life and build a career. And then, who knows, maybe if it gets big enough, we go to the next city and carry on or get someone else to do it down there.
Yeah. I absolutely love that idea, and I think it's more what we need. We talked about, you guys are in a pretty good shape. The company with having some younger guys, but the industry as a whole, it does have challenges, and getting more kids involved early, I think is that there's not even a drawback to that if they don't decide to get in the trades. If they do decide to go to college or pursue some other career, worst case, they've got a little bit of they've been inquisitive about it. They've learned a little bit about it, and shit, they want to do a brick mailbox at their house. They got enough knowledge and skill to do it. You know what I mean? So then there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, yeah, just something to get some hands on and get that in front of them. Because like I don't know what's going on in the school now, but I sure they're still telling kids you got to go to college to be successful. Like,
Man,
so just something to mitigate or not
I,
mitigate, but help us.
yeah. I mean, I'm 47, and I feel like that real push started with my age group, and and I've said this before in the podcast. I mean, they back then they were really bad. Like, man, dude, if you don't go to college, you're probably gonna be cooking meth in a trailer somewhere out north, North Haines City. It's like, God damn, I don't want to do that shit. I guess I got to go to school. And I was one of those that was very fortunate between, mostly academics and a couple others. Like I don't, I think my parents paid for my books maybe the last 2 semesters of college, but I was fortunate enough to have some academic scholarships and different ones that, I didn't take on any college debt. But man,
Yeah.
just to think about, if you look at that same track of that 17-year-old kid that graduates and goes to trade school, becomes an apprentice, becomes I mean, you could probably be a journeyman by the time your buddy gets out with his 4-year degree, or real damn close. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And has racked up a whole ton of debt. You know, you look at and parallel those two throughout their career, and if the blue collar guy has any ambition as far as just even if he just wants to work for somebody for 30 years, if they're good at what they do, they can still pull down top dollar, because you don't want to lose a big foreman or somebody like that in a company. I just still go back to, in this day and age, 9 times out of 10, that blue collar guy is going to end up making more than the college graduate.
Yeah, and it's to the point like, college just has a real great marketing plan, but um, if you're not gonna go in there and do something specialized, like I'm the same as you. I was fortunate. I had good grades. Like I got half of a scholarship on academics, and I worked like I said between classes and summers, and walked away with no college debt after I dropped out. And um, it's just I went through. I was going into business administration. I just got to the point. I was like, why am I here if I could just go to work?
Yeah.
And so if you're in that situation, like, and we all, like I said, we get told to go to college. So if you're in that situation, but you don't really know what you're doing there, but you want to play with Legos or in the sand pile and get out here with us, like you can be just as successful or not, if not more, with less debt, unless you pull a bonehead move and go buy a brand new platinum.
Oh boy, we used to joke about that all the time. You could tell the guys that came out of high school and started making, back in my day, 13, 14, $15 an hour, because they were the
Mhm.
ones that when you got to their house, they had the brand new truck and the brand new bass boat. Like,
Yeah.
oh shit, so now it's kind of like you're making minimum wage, old boy, by the time you get done making those 2 payments every month.
Yeah,
That is that is so true. Behind every new truck on a job site sits an apprentice.
we all been there.
Uh,
We've done it. We all been there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Got to have that new rig. Well, hey, at 47 years old, I still got the old '08 F-250 out there because I only put about 5,000 miles on her a year, running back and forth to here, and that's about it. So I just can't justify tying up money that I can put into my business, on a new truck. So what? I just feel better about it. Fuck that. I'd rather spend that money elsewhere, but that's just me and my priorities. Um, Before we let you go, Slim, we do this with every guest. Now that you've been on the Old Boy podcast and got to experience, what we like to talk about, how we shoot the breeze. You got one or two people you'd recommend we reach out to and see if they'd like to come on and chat with us?
Yeah, man. Like I talked about before, my buddy Larry, Rough Iron, dude,
Yep.
that's one hell of a guy. He's been nothing but a big brother to me, and he's got a great perspective and he's super knowledgeable. I would recommend that dude to anybody. And then as well, I don't know if you know Victor the Good Boss,
I
but
don't.
another one. So Victor, like, he went viral back on TikTok. Like, you see his videos all the time. He'll pull up and like offer a homeless person a job and get him involved in construction. Yeah,
That dude, yeah, I've seen him. I just didn't pay attention to his handle.
yeah, that's Vic. And dude, he's another one, bro. He's just a great big brother, and freaking has been nothing but kind to me. And I love his message. Like, he's full bore into getting people into the right situation, and like whether you can take, but he'd be one hell of a guest on here, I'm sure.
Awesome. No, I love both those recommendations, man. Thank you so much. And then we'll wrap up with letting people know where they can find you and any brands or anything you want to promote before we close it up.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm Slim Brick on everything, so it's like outside my personal Facebook page. If you type Slim Brick, you'll find me. Yep, that's I got no real brands to rep at the moment, like as far as that I need to shout out here besides Troll for taking care of me. And because you follow me, my slogan, if you take care of your shit, it'll take care of you.
Yes, sir.
Doing that.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, I got to tell you, Slim Brick, it has been a great pleasure chatting with you today. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I know I sure as hell did. And until the next time, you guys take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Old Boy Podcast. Please subscribe, like, set your notifications, whatever you got to do to make sure you're getting the latest episodes. Also, feel free to go back, whether it be YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Get some of the past episodes, check those out, and always feel free to check out our socials, Old Boy Podcast. Thank you so much.